Coming up, I'm speaking with Daniel Pierce Bergin, senior producer at Twin Cities Public Television. That's next on the St. Paul Forum. St. Paul Forum. I'm Lisa Tabor, guest host along with John Forty, while Mike Wassenaar is on sabbatical. I'm here today talking with Daniel Pierce Bergin, the senior producer at Twin Cities Public Television. Thank you so much for being here, Daniel.
Thanks for having me.
So what is a senior producer? Please tell me.
Yeah, well, I'm one of a few senior producers at Twin Cities Public Television. Basically for TPT, that's those of us who've been there a while, have been working hard, creating media with and for the community. For me, it really does mean making media that matters and really telling stories about our community, but also creating media that is kind of a convener, media that kind of hopefully is a conversation piece, a way to deal with some of the issues in our community and move them forward. So senior producer at TPT means a lot of things for me, but it really is about being TPT, Twin Cities Public Television, being Minnesota's storyteller and really creating stories with and for our communities.
Okay, and so what specifically does a producer do? Do you actually make the film? Do you organize everybody? Do you pay for it? What, do fundraising? What do you do?
It's a good question. In the film world, and my other passion is cinema. I'm a film student and a film lover and a filmmaker. And so in the film world, when you hear producer, it's the business side. Right. It's the person who kind of manages production. In television generally, and at Twin Cities Public Television, the producer is kind of a creative manager. Fortunately for me, we have great people who deal with the numbers to allow us producers to do what hopefully we do best, and that's the storytelling, the creative work. So it's a lot of different things in that creative management, and that includes a lot of journalistic work and reportage, you know, researching and reporting in some of our journalistic and news programs. There's a lot of writing involved. It's a lot of research, you know, in some of my history documentaries. It's a lot of research, but it's always interesting. Working on location is one of the kind of great joys of the work we do with our great videography crew, getting to go out into the community and interview people and gather their stories. So I do a lot of listening, which is great. You know, I get to hear a lot of amazing stories, and over the many years that I've been at TPT, I've been honored to hear a lot of great stories and shape those into television programs. That's kind of the next phase of what we do. We take the raw material as a producer and kind of shape that into whatever the form is. If it's a history documentary, that means more script writing and offline editing, which is kind of the initial rough sketch and kind of putting a finer polish on it, and then working with a lot of great editors at TPT to do that final online edit, which is kind of like the oil painting then. And so it's a great process, it's a collaborative process, and that's just a little bit of what a producer does.
That's a lot, actually. So what is it that led you to producing? What's your background? Where did you start out?
Well, I started out, and this is actually appropriate for SPNN, the home of a lot of great youth media work, because I was fortunate a long time ago to have some really great media experiences as a young person, boy, as young as like 9 or 10, at an alternative school in Minneapolis. And I had access to Super 8 film and early video technology, the old Portapacks. And we were let loose on that at this school. And with some great teachers and some artists and residents from Film in the Cities, really gave me and others some great exposure to media, you know, as kids. And I stayed with it. And even at that time, was kind of a peer educator, I guess we'd call it now, where in this alternative school, we were kind of sometimes left to our own accord and, you know, kind of self-started and created media that I've got hidden away. But we definitely learned a lot and had a lot of fun. And that really did lead, as I say, lead me on this course to be where I am today. Between now and then, I went to the University of Minnesota. And this is long ago when there wasn't the kind of digital infrastructure that you have at the U now. An amazing journalism school. A lot of the digital equipment really has students in a great place at the U. MCTC is another great program. The U didn't have all of that when I was there. So I actually created my own major, and it was media studies, and it was the study of film theory and history of journalism and visual communications, as well as production. And I like to think all of that kind of prepared me for the work that I've been doing at Twin Cities Public Television, which is really, it's journalistic often in its nature, and we pride ourselves on that at TPT, but it's also very much about the issues of the day, and that's always been important to me. So it's been, in a way, I've been fairly focused since I was 10 years old and playing with Super 8 film and old reel-to-reel video, and that's, like I said, led me to where I am today.
So what did you do for after graduation, for work or
to
develop?
Yeah, that's the tenure, the senior producer tenure is in part because I started at TPT right out of college as a production assistant. So I had a lot of great experience, actually, with cable access in Minneapolis as well. And so again, it's great to be here in the SPNN studios because I am, in a lot of ways, a product of the cable community as well.
And you were a board member here.
That's right. Thank you. I was, and proud to serve. And again, it's amazing work, and it's, I think, no secret that SPNN and MTN are some of the nation's really best community media or access centers. I think that's pretty well known in the kind of grassroots community media circles.
What is MTN?
MTN is Minneapolis Telecommunications Network.
Oh, okay.
Now, I'm
the Minneapolis version
kid.
of SPNN?
Yeah, so I'm a Minneapolis kid, born and raised, and so because of my work with TPT, I like to think after almost 2 decades that I'm kind of a son of St. Paul in some ways, but so I hope that's okay that the Minneapolis guys on the show.
We just don't want to talk about it. No, we're fine. They're good.
But yeah, that's right.
So you had a lot of experience basically since you were 9 working in media and filmmaking. Tell me a little bit about the influences that you had, especially here in the Twin Cities.
Yeah, well, as you know, I'm kind of a self-proclaimed disciple of Gordon Parks.
Yes, yeah.
St. Paul's legendary photographer, author, and filmmaker. And so Gordon's ethos of, using the camera to build community, his choice of weapons, as he says, is something that I've taken to heart and had, at an early age as a filmmaker in college, an award-winning student filmmaker. I was already dealing with issues when a lot of my peers weren't interested in that. So I was really fortunate then at TPT to work with Robin Hickman, a great niece of Gordon's, and an amazing mentor and friend of mine who really helped me in the program that we created along with Susan Robeson called Don't Believe the Hype, which I always say kind of dates how long ago it was and being one of public television's first youth media endeavors, because it was the late 80s, early 90s when Public Enemy kind of brought that term to... I was going to say hype, yeah. So a lot of young people today, when I tell them about this, they're like, I don't get the title.
Yeah.
So,
but
oh,
gee.
So, yeah, I know, exactly.
Right.
But, this is an amazing project that was, I was proud to work on for many years, and also proud that right here at SPNN, you have a couple of the former really talented young producers who came out of that project. Right. So Gordon Parks is clearly an influence, but wow, I'm really lucky that I've been able to work with so many great people who have informed and shaped me, people with me behind the camera, but also people in front of the camera as well.